First things first, I want to go ahead and apologize for the length of this. Secondly, I want to apologize for my terrible job at probably portraying this. And thirdly, I would like to thank you for watching this. Now, before I continue, I would like to say if the title itself did not give anything away, that there is some graphic content in this video. Now, if you are under the age of 10, I highly suggest that you go back to watching Teletubbies or something like that before you have to figure out what the true meaning of how bad the world is. Now, let's go ahead and get down to the nitty-gritty. For the next few minutes, I want to present 3 topics for each of the following: marijuana and rape. And at the end of this, I will ask you a question. Simple question, a yes or no answer will do. So let's proceed. First off, I would like to bring the point is marijuana. On June 6th of 2003, a 19-year-old male college student, I might add, was caught and was charged with a felony of delivering marijuana. To his defense, he was just simply going to a friend's house, but since he did have marijuana in possession and was admitted to driving to a friend's house, he did receive the felony charge. Now, I will say that our judicial branch did the best it could and only gave the boy 4 weekends in jail. But here, unfortunately, is where the story turns a little bit south. Being a young male, he was brutally raped by a cellmate on the first weekend visit. He was required to continue to visit the jail, and basically his whole life was turned around from this one incident with marijuana. He never's been the same. So, number 2 I'd like to bring to point is a story of a quadriplegic man. This gentleman's name is Jonathan Magby. Now, Mr. Magby, at the age of 4, unfortunately, was hit by a drunk driver and was paralyzed from the neck down. Him being a quadriplegic, he required around 20 plus hours of constant nursing a day. But Mr. Magby was a medical marijuana user. He, I'm sure, believed it helped the pain and other circumstances that came along with his injury, and unfortunately was pulled over in a wonderful nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and a firearm and a small amount of marijuana was found in the vehicle with him. Not on him, simply with him in the vehicle. That being said, as I stated earlier, he did need constant nursing and stuff, so our lovely judicial branch decided it would be a grand idea to send this individual to jail for 10 days. Because it was the right thing to do. Unfortunately, Mr. Magby died without the proper use of medical equipment and the availability of medical equipment. He passed away 4 days after entering the jail. The third case I would like to bring up is not a case at all, but just a multitude of different things. I would like to bring to point the idea of that you are sitting at home alone. You're with your family, it's 2 in the morning, and all of a sudden there's a loud bang. You race up, wondering if somebody's breaking into your house, only to find the police department coming through your front door, armed with assault rifles, handcuffing, and subduing your children, wife, and teen, and other people in the household. Now, let's just say you've never used any drugs in your life, including alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, you name it, never done it. But because of some simple individual said, hey, he might have something a little bit more fishy about to him, your house got broken into at 2 or 3 in the morning. Unfortunately, this is unfortunately, excuse my terminology. It is a very real aspect of daily life here in America. Many people, houses have been raided, people have been killed, and children have been injured simply because of word of mouth or so-and-so said that so-and-so has marijuana. Now, I don't know about you, but if I was a young teen, or a young kid for that matter, or anybody for that matter, and somebody came into my house at 3 in the morning with a rifle, he best be backpedaling quickly. He better make sure that I'm aware that he is the police, or some rounds are going to be flying. I'm not going to lie. But that's what our lovely judicial branch does. Now, to the second part of our lovely experience, to the rape aspect. Now, first things first, I want to say that I do have people in my life that have been raped, and this does fall near and dear to my heart. In one case, the rapist was never caught, or there wasn't substantial evidence against him. So, if you are watching this, more power to you, and I hope that I find you one day. So, the first person I would like to bring to mind is Samuel Curtis Johnson III. And if the third didn't give it away, this is Mr. Johnson & Johnson. Yes, the stuff that you use for your children to clean their little rear ends, the same family. Now, he was inappropriately touching his young daughter. The daughter told the mother, and because this man had lovely lawyers on his side and everything like that, he received 60 days and a $6,000 fine. Now, normally, a single charge of molestation or rape or what have you of a child carries a 10-year sentence. But because he was a quality individual, in the judge's words, or in the people's eyes, he was released with only 60 days in jail and a $6,000 fine. The second one is even worse than that. I would like to bring forth Mr. Robert H. Richard IV. Now, Mr. Richard is from what I would like to call old money. He lives off a trust fund. He basically did nothing and got everything he wanted. He's the kind of guy who goes to vacation in the Hamptons. That kind of gentleman. Well, in 2005, he sexually abused his 3-year-old daughter. And by sexually abused, I mean sexually raped, molested on many accounts, and openly admitted in court to abuse his daughter. But because of, once again, good lawyers and a lot of old money, he simply received probation. Now, to me, that is extremely uncalled for. Probation, something like that, is where you get, a DUI, or you do something that isn't very bad to society, something that doesn't affect anybody else other than yourself. To me, rape affects a lot more than just one person, and I believe you'll quite agree on that. And in the judge's words, and the reason he did receive probation, he would not make it in prison. He would not fare well. He would not fare well at all in prison. And you know what? I have to ask myself, and you might call me a brutal individual, but maybe it's not a bad thing that he wouldn't fare well. Maybe he wouldn't be out raping 3-year-old girls, Maybe if he didn't fare well, or somebody taught him a lesson or something along that. Alright, the next point I'd like to bring to point about rape is lovely statistics. Did you know that there are over 400,000 documented rape cases that have been untested left in this United States of America? Over 11,000 in Detroit, and all across America. There's cases that link back to the 70s and 80s that, with modern technology, could bring closure to those poor individuals that were raped. Because, let me just express something. When you're left with an opening hole and knowing that your person who did the same exact terrible thing to you is still out there, it doesn't fare well with your mind. You're constantly worrying. You're constantly just concerned with the safety of your children, other females, people in your community. Nothing is okay about somebody getting away. But because there wasn't somebody who wanted to take the time and file the paperwork and go through and link things and bring closure to cases, like I said, 11,000 cases, linking back to the 70s at the earliest, sit on shelves at the police station. Thirdly, I would like to bring to point what rape would do to an individual. If you can imagine that you are a young male, female, what have you, and somebody was to take away your innocence, your pride, your value of self-worth, your security, to take away the ability to have kids, to think about that. One of the greatest joys in this world, and that I haven't experienced, is to bring another human being into this world. That's something that you, inside of you, and you and another person created. But there are people who walk this earth who are not allowed to do that because some individual decided to be a grand idea because he needed it right then and right now to take that away from them. And to me, I believe in a life for a life, but I'm old school, I guess. Now, this brings me to the conclusion of my video, which is I can see long, indeed. I have a question to ask you. For a simple plant that was put on the earth by God himself, if that is the right way, if that's the way you believe, should a man spend years in prison when somebody who savagely beats, rapes, and takes away so much from another individual is allowed to walk the streets on merely probation, where that individual will have to walk into the post office, grocery store, and many other public locations and see this person and know that the person who did this to them is not being caught, in fear deep down that it could happen again, or even worse, happen to somebody else. I'd like to thank you once again for watching this, and I hope y'all have a wonderful evening. I didn't depress you or anything, just some food for thought. Thanks.